I've been intensely curious and equally skeptical about power cables. Like, part of me didn't want it to work, and part of me did want it to work, and I'm going to solve that conundrum within myself today for you guys, and I want you to kind of play along and witness what's going on. The science behind this I thought was questionable at best. I was wrong. I know how power supplies work. I know how electricity works. I was wrong. So you're going to read a lot of stuff on the internet about power cables and what they can and can't do. My advice to you is to probably not pay too close attention to that. I got a little confused when I was cruising around trying to find some some information for today's show, and then I met Michael and Richard, and I am not a skeptic anymore. I'm not curious anymore. I'm figuring out how to get about 200 of these things in my studio right now. It definitely works, and we're going to explore that a little more. So we're going to do a little quick change here and come right back to you. So this is Michael from ESP, Essential Sound Products. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little skeptical before this, and my buddy Richard and I had a couple of conversations, and he'll tell you I was a little skeptical, bordering on rude, because I got to protect you guys, right? But trying to figure out another way to say the F word, but shit, man, that was incredible. I mean, I'm expecting, like, I don't want to overhype it, guys, so dial some of this back. I'm just surprised because I was expecting to have to squint, close my eyes, sit in a sweet spot, but Eric Reicher's the owner of Echo Bar, the amazing place where I'm working right now. He's off to the side behind the camera, and he heard it easily. Leandro, my assistant, I wouldn't put too much faith in his abilities to hear things, but no, Leandro's, it's part of his training to make him feel funny. But Leandro, you heard it, right?
I heard it. It's incredible.
Because I was thinking, guys, you know, a little bit of improvement, it's worth it. You know, like any advantage you gain, is worth it, but that's significant. So, Michael, Richard, hand me those little cables things again. I think they're over there.
Well, Dave, you're going from a power cord that was never designed, optimized at all for audio. It's just been around forever, and you plug it in and lights come on and don't think another thing about it, to a product that I spent the last 20 years working on to optimize
Tell us
for
your
audio
background a little
equipment.
bit. How'd you get so smart? Other than mom and dad.
Well,
You have a degree in engineering.
mechanical engineering, and I actually went to work not in audio, in automotive. Okay, so totally out of this area, but I always loved music and, you know, had a stereo system in that. But anyway, I bought a component that had a detachable power cord back in like 1990 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you look at different components. Some would have the 18 gauge, some would have fatter cords and that. And this kind of gave me an opportunity to tinker, and you know how engineers are. You always want to tinker at things. And the first time that I tried it, I heard something different. And I didn't expect to hear anything different because there's no signal going through the power cord. So why should it be different? So the fact that it just intrigued me, and I started, you know, just looking into it more. And once you start, like, I got my physics books out and, you know, start looking at just the basics in terms of the energy storage devices that are in any power supply or throughout the PC boards. And once you start looking at the relationship here, because the power cord, it's not like it's a separate device from the component.
Mm-hmm.
Once you plug it into the wall, it's a part of the whole circuit, a very important part. So I said, this is real fundamental stuff here, you know, and there's a lot of opportunity to improve how those components work. So really what you're hearing is how good the equipment really is, because it's not being compromised by an inferior power cord. And that's how I look at it. It's not really the cord, it's how good the equipment really is.
So not to get too deep, a smaller wire gauge number or a bigger wire carries more current. So like a 20 gauge wire is a smaller diameter than a 12 gauge wire. I said that backwards.
Exactly. No, you're right. You're right. 12 gauge is a larger conductor than 20 gauge.
So you want the largest wire, smallest number, wire size, to carry a lot of current. But that increases the inductance.
Yeah, if you think in terms of resistance, you think bigger is better. But actually, because of impedance and because you're dealing with higher frequency range, you want that smaller conductor because it gets out of the way. However, now it's so small that just by its size, it's restrictive. So in order to kind of get the best of both, what the properties of that small conductor are, but they handle more current, we put multiple conductors in parallel to build capacity.
Right. And then you've got a 12 gauge.
Then bring them together at the
12?
end. Yeah, that's actually an oversized conductor, 12 gauge
for the
center.
for the ground.
Yep.
Now you mentioned higher frequencies. We all know 60 cycles is where the electricity is working at. When you say higher frequencies, are you talking about RFI that can get into the cable and
Well, actually, no. What I learned was that the signal that's being processed by the equipment actually amplitude modulates the incoming current. So it's kind of like you're driving your car and you need to go fast, you step on the gas, and you want to slow down, you pull off of it. And you want that reaction quickly. Well, that's what's happening with the current, especially in a high current device, but to some degree, all of them, because you're trying to refill the capacitors or the energy storage devices. And what I found is you really have a short time to do that. It's not like the entire cycle. It's really about 20%, give or take, of the cycle. The rest of the time, the equipment operates off the stored energy.
Gotcha.
So
Michael has promised me he'll put, give him a couple of days after you see this, but he's putting up some slides that you presented at 2011 AES, right?
AES, that's right. AES.
You guys know AES, it's an audio convention, and it's a bunch of smart guys with degrees and stuff. And he's got slides, a slideshow I want you to go check out on essentialsound.com.
That's right.
And essentialsound.com. And this kind of opened my eyes to I was a little less skeptical because he's got actual test equipment readouts of what's going on, and you would say, well, why isn't it important that the electricity more important before it gets to this cable? Well, it turns out that this cable is a bottleneck. It's not that bad before it, and so you probably want to come from the wall to this. Now he's got a product that'll help you do that multiple times. A lot of people say, well, okay, great, that's wonderful, Dave, but can you measure the sound and see a visual from a test machine that the sound actually changed? Well, he's got slides of that. I saw them. I heard it. That's not a power supply I just listened to. It's my speakers I'm listening to, and it changed. And I would be shocked if it weren't provable with some technical equipment. And you've got those proof.
Actually,
they'll see it, right?
Yeah, there was actually a manufacturer, this guitar amplifier manufacturer, who bought a sample advice of one of the artists, and they tried it, and they were skeptical, so they tested their own amplifier, and then sent me the data, and that's actually posted on our website as well.
Yeah, I saw the graphs.
It showed the graphs, and that the intermodulation distortion was reduced by 50%.
Is that good on a guitar? I like distortion on my guitars.
If you want it, you dial it up.
Where's the dial?
Well, if you're on the guitar amp, you could dial in the distortion.
Richard, come here. Okay. So, Richard.
Yes.
When we talked on the phone, I owe you an apology because I was not very polite.
It's all right.
And Richard works with Michael, helps him out a lot with R&D and testing things and letting guys like me know that I'm wrong. So I owe you an apology. So.
No problem.
Was I rude?
Not really.
Okay. Well, he and I both do the same thing for a living. Real good cat, very talented and gifted. But I want you to see him because I believed him, but I didn't believe him. and a little tiny piece of me didn't want this to work because I got a lot of gear. That's a lot of cables, even with my anticipated friends and family discount. Man, anything you want to share with the guys from a musician's perspective?
Well, from a musician's perspective and the independent producer especially, you're always trying to get any advantage that you can get, especially if you don't have the best of the best and they can't afford the best of the best. This here is just like anything else. Anything in the chain that's weak, you need to strengthen it if you can. And this is a great way if you have an inexpensive interface, you can't afford a Pro Tools HD rig. This really jumps the quality of your rig up.
Yeah, I don't think it turns it into an HD rig, but it definitely makes it as good as it can be.
It makes it as good as it can be. And you need all those advantages in this business if you're going to...
Man, truer words were never spoken, So I just tried the cables on several pieces of outboard gear, and I got some interesting things to report to you. First, I tried it on the Clariphonic by Cush Audio, and I used this guy. Now this has some heft to it because it has to have it to do what it does. Now these two are, Michael, would you call these kind of entry level?
This is part of our Pro Series.
Affordable. Let's call it affordable.
Most affordable. Right.
Now I've been using these. I haven't even been using. He's got 2 more levels above this, and Richard has been telling me that they're noticeable too. So I want to stick with this because if this works, then we're all in good luck. But as you go up the food chain, it's not quite as dramatic, but it's hearable. So you want to get the best ones you can afford, and then you're gonna keep these forever. So it's a good investment. Now this and this are identical in terms of the insides and the guts. This just does what looks obvious. Now this doesn't have any filtering or what do they call it, UPS?
That's correct. Right. There's no transformers, capacitors, anything like that in there. There is surge protection, and that's it.
Okay, there is surge.
Right. But we basically, you can think of this as a power cord with 6 outlets. So if you have a device, say like a device that has the outboard transformer, wall wart, if you will, you can plug it into there, and you'll get most of the performance, even still going through the power cord from that wall.
Michael, don't take this the wrong way, buddy, but before I tested these myself, I would have been skeptical about the wall wart thing, but now I have to believe you. I mean, I just have to believe you because you've actually kind of under-promised and over-delivered so far, so I can't imagine with your personality and your background that you're not doing the same with wall warts.
Proof is in trying.
So what did I hear on the Clariphonics? I put it on 8-Bit Tiger. I put it on some background vocals. And the reason I chose this song is I spent a lot of time mixing this song, and I really know what the intricacies of this mix. Now, my backgrounds had a pan to them. I like to pan my lower notes towards the middle and the higher notes towards the outside. And I thought it sounded amazing. And I love the Clariphonic on background vocals, along with the Moog. Those are my 2 favorites. I could hear my panning better. There was a clarity. There was a I don't know where the phase relationship came from because there wasn't 2 things the same, but apparently everything has a phase relationship of some sort. Was that what I was hearing? A kind of clearing of the phase
absolutely.
A little bit?
Absolutely. Yes, that's what the chords are really intended to help do, is to, you could almost consider them a phase filter. Mm-hmm. So, once you can eliminate some of that phase distortion, the spatial qualities become clearer.
Yeah, one of the things
left to right and front to back.
One of the things I like to do is I like my effects, like my delays, my reverbs. I like them to decay in time, so I want them to end on a beat or not. Like if I'm in a B section, sometimes I'll create a little tension by making them a little off. But I could hear really. It didn't change the timing for me, but it changed my ability to place those quicker. Okay. I heard the decays. I heard all of that go down to 0, and when it went down there was no noise in the quiet spots. Am I imagining that, or is that real?
Well, the chords are also shielded, and it's one of those things that in audio, you look at a lot of your other cables, most of them, I shouldn't say most of them, but a lot of them are shielded because we all know that you can pick up RF distortion, and so you ask yourself, why wouldn't a power cord be shielded as well? And there's actually a good answer, because if it's not executed right, it actually affects negatively the sound, because it exacerbates the carrier frequency, the second harmonic, which is the highest amplitude. So what we do is we space it away from those conductors so it doesn't interact with them, so you get the benefits of not picking up the RF without getting the negatives.
That's pretty cool in an urban environment with all the electronic signals that are in the air. So, Michael, I was a little curious about how it would work with kind of tube gear, So I tried it on my new favorite compressor, the 14B from Locomotive. It worked on tube gear too. One of the reasons we like tube gear is the way the responses, the way that it can round off edges and things, square waves, and it can actually add some color and some rich harmonics, some even harmonics, and it sounded incredible with that too. There again, I was on a monosource, and it just felt like all I had it on was the compressor on the vocal, and it just felt like I didn't have to hunt for the vocal in the mix, I know I'm asking.
Well,
is that possible?
It is, and from a power supply standpoint, tube gear is more demanding than solid state. Typically, internally, what they call the voltage rails tend to be a lot higher, so it's more sensitive to transient fluctuation. And what this does is it helps to keep them stable, so that, again, you can get the optimal performance out of the gear.
Sometimes I've read and I've tried not to keep my mic cables and my any cables that are carrying audio, particularly noise canceling cables, XLRs. I try not to keep them too neat. I like them to be kind of messy. That way they retard the RF a little bit.
Right.
Do traditional power cables induce any extra noise into the process?
As a matter of fact, that's probably the thing that the power cable does that's the biggest offender, because a power cord, because it carries high current, has a pretty strong magnetic field around it. And if you've got your signal cables and the power cables in close proximity, you could add noise to your system just because of this radiation from the power cord. So what the shield does is it contains that so that you're not going to have that effect. Now,
you almost have two shields in a way, don't you?
Well, we do spiral the line and neutral conductors, and of course the spiraling is very similar to like a Cat5 cable, where that helps to reject RF as well.
Gotcha.
And then by having multiple conductors, the field is weaker, but also this right here is an inner jacket that spaces the shield away, so you don't get the interaction for the negative effect in the bass region.
Right.
Primarily.
It's not inducing it itself even, much less rejecting everything else.
Right.
Well, man, I tell you what, we've spoken on the phone, and you and I and Richard, and man, you're a cool guy, and I wanted to like you, but I did not want to like these that much. I don't want to oversell them or overhype the cables, but it really made a difference. I mean, not just from a physics perspective, but a musical perspective. And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we're doing music, and this isn't a science project. It's a way to take these 12 notes that we all know and love and make them come out of a pair of speakers or headphones or earbuds and make you feel something, make you want to own it, make you want to dance to it, make you want to listen to it a million times. And these are tools that I see not just as a way to make things sound better, but to make things be better. And those are the things that excite me when I can get something that comes out of the speakers that makes me happy. Hopefully a few million other people will be happy too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much for that.
And I'm not really that concerned with how I do it or what I do it with. What I'm concerned is that what comes out of those speakers just grabs you by the throat, picks you up, and slams you on the ground. That's what I want. I want my ballads to even be badass. And man, I'm telling you, we could talk after the show, right?
Definitely.
All right, man. Hey guys,
Thanks very much.
Remember now, go to the website. Give them a couple of days to get these charts and graphs up, because if you're into science like I am, and you enjoy physics, it's real, and there's actual proof, test machines and stuff, real proof. But the proof just came out of my speakers, and if you think I'm lying, send me an email. We'll work it out. All right.